It's time for another pop date with Mumbles and Mr. Dancer. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Mumbles and Dancer Pop Dates. Mumbles and Dancer Pop Dates. Today's episode of Mumbles, we are talking about a topic that I have talked about some previously. But guys, today we are talking about separation anxiety, and I wanted to do more of an in-depth look at this problem that a lot of people may be experiencing here this year because so many of us have been stuck at home and been spending more time with our canine friends that it is a thing that may be widespread in the coming year with separation anxiety and your dog and you. So guys, today we're going to cover some basics and what you can do to help lessen the separation anxiety that your dog may face coming in the coming months. So let's jump straight into that. So guys, on today's episode of Mumbles, again, we are talking about separation anxiety in your pet. The focus will be on the canines or dogs because obviously I have Dancer and he is a dog, so we'll be focusing more on that. But these are tips that should work for pretty much any type of pet that you have. Now guys, I do want to I am addressing this issue again because I feel that it's a topic that right now is very important to a lot of people. So I wanted to give a very in-depth view of some things that you can do to help your dog get through this stressful time. Now guys, we all know that during 2020, we've been spending a lot more time at home. We've had a lot more time to pay attention to our pets. Maybe they've been getting more walks than they usually get. Maybe they've been, just having the time of their lives while you're home. But unfortunately, at some point, this will likely end. And then your dog will have to get used to, again, not being the center of attention at all times during the day. As sad as that is to say, because I know many of us would like nothing more than to just spend time with our dog. But sometimes we have to do what we have to do. So guys, today I am going to talk about some tips that can help reduce the anxiety that your dog will experience when you have to leave and do whatever it is that you have to do and you have to leave them at home. So we're going to start with our first tip today. As the first tip that I have for you guys today is don't make a big deal out of it. When you go to leave, say goodbye, pat them on the head. Don't make a big deal out of it. Don't try to act sad. Try to keep calm. Same thing when you come home. You don't want it to be a huge deal that you're leaving. You want your dog to feel like, oh, it's going to be okay. They'll be back in a few hours. It's no big deal. So don't make a huge deal out of it when you go to leave. The second tip that I have for you guys today is try to exercise your dog before you leave if it's at all possible. Guys, if you think about it, a dog who has been exercised and is tired most likely isn't going to think about, oh, my human isn't home. They're going to think, oh, I'm going to go sleep. That's just what they're going to do because they're tired. They've been worn out, So try to exercise your dog if you can before you leave. It will help them and maybe will hopefully allow them to sleep while you're gone, and then they won't know that you're gone that much. Now, the third tip that I have for you guys today is food toys / interactive toys. Guys, some of you out there may have food toys that you like to give your dogs, whether it be a Kong or other toys that they can play with and get treats out of them. If when you go to leave, you give them a special treat with one of these either interactive toys or a food toy, that will make the idea of you leaving not so bad because they know when you leave, they get something special that they only get when you leave. So instead of it being, oh man, my human's up, it's, oh my gosh, I got some frozen treats or some frozen fruit or whatever it is you want to give them in their little Kong, and they can work on that, or whether it be another toy and they can work on that. Now guys, I'm also adding, like I said, interactive toys into this thing because it can help reduce the amount of loneliness that your dog feels because it's a toy that can interact with them. So guys, because it is a special toy and because you're giving it to them, it will hopefully draw their attention to it and make them not think about the anxiety of you leaving. So that's the third thing that you can do. You can either give them an interactive food toy or Kong or an interactive toy itself. Guys, the fourth tip that I have today is dealing with the anxiety that dogs can get before you leave. So some dogs will actually pick up on the fact that, oh, whenever they pick up the car keys, that means they're leaving. Oh, whenever they put on their makeup, that means they're leaving. Oh, whenever they put on their shoes, that means they're leaving. Oh, whenever they do this, that means they're leaving. They will pick up on that. They will get upset about it. They will get anxiety. And they may even forget that, hey, them leaving isn't the end of the world because they'll be so worked up and maybe even trying to get you to not leave that they won't think about anything other than that, and they can have bad anxiety before you even go to leave. So how do you deal with that? This is a very simple one to solve. However, it may take some time in order for it to actually work. What you're going to do is, if you see that your dog is having anxiety when you go to pick up your keys or whatever. What you're going to do is you're going to do that action and not leave. So go watch TV or do something different. Don't leave. So you're going to actually kind of trick them into thinking that, oh, just because they go get the car keys doesn't mean they're leaving. Oh, just because they put on their shoes doesn't mean they're leaving. Oh, just because they put on their makeup doesn't necessarily mean they're leaving. So this may take some time to work into your dog's head because dogs are smart. So the reason you want to do this is because it will help keep your dog calmer throughout the experience. So they won't be all worked up before you leave. They can rationalize things. Hey, my human will come back. They can maybe even think about, you know, the toy or the special thing that you're giving them while you're gone. And they can actually rationalize and stay calmer, which is the ultimate goal in doing any of these things. You want them to stay calmer. And the more that they can stay calm before you leave, the better. So that is our 4th tip today. So guys, the 5th tip that I have for everyone today is actually geared kind of towards dogs that get super anxious or dogs that maybe aren't used to you leaving at all. Guys, what you're going to want to do is actually do short little test leaves of the house. Now, I call it leaves of the house because basically what you're going to do is instead of taking a 2-hour trip to start off with, maybe you'll tell your dog goodbye and you'll leave for 10 minutes and you'll come back. You'll get them built up into the idea that, hey, they are coming back. As it goes on, you can actually lengthen this time. Instead of doing 10 minutes, if your dog is okay with 10 minutes and doesn't freak out, then when you can stretch it, blah, blah, blah. So guys, as you go on, you can actually stretch this out. So if you find that when you come back, your dog is calm, you can stretch it out to 20 minutes. That one, you can stretch it to 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 50 minutes, 60 minutes, 70 minutes, 80 minutes, 90 minutes. Once you get them to 90, there's a good chance that they can spend a couple hours by themselves and they'll be okay. But guys, basically this is conditioning them that, hey, they will come back. It's getting them used to the idea and it's making it gradual over time. It will take time for them to get this through their heads, but eventually they will and they'll be okay with it. Like I said, it could take a lot of time, may take a lot of practice. When you go to start out, you can even start out slow by simply taking your dog and removing them from the situation of you being around you when you're working. So maybe you shut them in another room or put them in their safe space, their safe crate, their safe area. Maybe that's what you do to start with, and that's how you start them and kind of get them under the idea that, hey, I can't always be around my human when they're working. So these are just some ideas that you can do to gradually build them up to the idea that you do have to leave them sometimes, unfortunately. Guys, the sixth thing that you can do to reduce anxiety in dogs is actually, if your dog is not okay with being left alone, get them a dog sitter or have someone check in on them during the day, maybe a family member or someone that the dog is close to. In that way, the dog will, calm down the anxiety. They know that somebody's going to check on them, or they'll have human interaction around them if they have a dog sitter. It can be on the expensive side, but sometimes you do unfortunately have to do that. Guys, the seventh tip that I have is that if your dog still is getting extremely anxious and you're just worried about them, talk to your veterinarian. There are some medications out there that can help reduce the anxiety that your dog is experiencing. Obviously, anxiety in humans and dogs is not a good thing, so you may need to look into getting some medication from your veterinarian to help calm them down. Obviously, you don't want to give any medication to your dog that isn't necessary, but sometimes we have to do these things. Guys, the final thing that I want to make a note of is, no matter what happens, remember, your dog cannot help the fact that they get upset when you leave. So do not, under any circumstances, scold them for getting anxious. Just like when a human being gets nervous and upset, dogs do too. And actually scolding them can make matters worse and make them more upset. So do your best to stay calm no matter what their reaction is. It will make things go a lot smoother and a lot better for both you and your pet. So guys, these are the tips that I have for you guys today to help with separation anxiety during this difficult time of reintroducing them to our normal everyday lives. So I hope that this, guys, helps you. And now I'm going to go get Dancer so we can finish up this video. So guys, now as with every week, it is time for our favorite section, our Pop In Play, where you can see the cute little Mr. Dancer have all sorts of fun. And here he is. Anyways, guys, this has been another episode of Mumbles with Dancer Updates. I want to thank you guys all so much for joining me. Please smack that subscribe button, smack the like button, and smack all those buttons. And I will see you guys all in the next video. Bye-bye, everyone. Take care.